Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 496, recorded on September 19th, 2024. On tonight's episode with special guest Patreon producer Jacqueline Amir and Rick Stanford, we're talking about the future of Nintendo Switch successor, well, some more-ish, OG Nintendo Switch bundles, and the Splatoon 3 is actually done, but when is Splatoon 4 coming? Ladies and gentlemen, we're 4 episodes away from episode 500. We're on the road to 500. Jesse, pull us into the truck stop, press the buttons, and let's start this dumpster fire of a show.
Hello, everybody. This is the Nintendo Dads, and I'm running the show, and Justin is opening. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Just love.
I also realized I totally butchered Rick's last name. I said Stanford, and it's Stafford, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I realized that afterwards. I was like, "Yeah, we're not. Listen, we're not going back and redoing it. I'll mention it later." But Tim, I'll throw back to you.
No problem. All right, well, so we're starting off the show, and no Marty today because he's getting ready to do Saturday Night Live this weekend, so we can't have him on the show. I'm joking, by the way.
Again. I wouldn't put it past him.
I think at no point was anyone like, listen, I don't think you need to say you were joking. Like, I don't think nobody was like, oh yeah, that's logical. Marty's definitely not here because he's doing Saturday Night Live.
He's got to prepare all week for it,
right?
So, yes.
Those dress rehearsals are killer.
Those are. He's been gone for a couple weeks to do that. So
yeah.
Had to take the trip to New York and everything. All right. Well, we got a lot to talk about, actually, believe it or not, because there's a lot of stuff going on with leaks with the Nintendo Switch successor. But before we get started, Jesse, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. No event this weekend, so I'll get a chance to relax. Probably, I would say catch up on my homework in my class, but really I'm a month ahead, so I just might get further ahead.
Nice.
And I have a few old Intellivision or new to me Intellivision games that I picked up that I want to play for the first time. Haven't gotten around to that yet.
Sweet.
So that's my plans for the weekend.
That covers the retro side of things.
Yes. Well, my wife is out of town, so I don't have to worry about whatever she wants me to do.
Free time for Jesse. Everybody, let's go to his house. All right. Jackie, how's it going? I'm glad you came back and visited us, and you brought a friend. What's going on?
I did. I brought my Aquaman here, Rick Stafford, and we are getting ready for UltraCon in West Palm Beach. It starts tomorrow at 4 p.m. I wouldn't miss it.
No, and I wouldn't either, but I live in Michigan, so it's a little bit far for me. So, all right, Justin, welcome back, sir. We missed you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I've been on my Nintendo Dad sabbatical, which is great. I spend time on the beach just luxuriously sitting around, contemplating what we should do with this dumpster fire of a company, and occasionally drinking margaritas. That's what a sabbatical is typically. Great to be back. It's nice to be back with Nintendo news. I always like rumors. There's hot takes going on. And of course, I had to show up because Jacqueline was here. So listen, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for sure.
Yeah, he said, "Wait, what? Jackie's going to be there? I got to be there." So,
yep, 100%.
I can't miss any more. If I'm going to miss any more, it can't be this one. So, all right. Well, thanks for checking in, everybody. Let's jump into the news and get right into it.
Let's do it.
And as everybody knows, the news is brought to you by our Patreons at patreon.com/NintendoDads. And you too can be a Patreon if you go to that website and you get all kinds of stuff. Jesse is so kind to put the link to Patreon in our description of our show. So if you want to check out the details of what you get, go click on that link and see all the wonderful details.
Yeah, you should see it in the description of the podcast in the audio format or on our YouTube. The YouTube version of the podcast, they're also there.
Yes. So, and one of the great things about it is you get ad-free version of the show too if you're a patron or a Twitch subscriber. So, or actually, no, just Patreon because we haven't figured out the Twitch side yet. But anyways, with that, let's just jump right into the top headlines here, which is at the top of our list is Nintendo Switch holiday bundles were announced. Did you guys see that?
Yep, 100% did. 100%. Five new bundles, as a matter of fact, actually.
Oh, was it
Five
more?
new bundles? There was a total of
It depends on what region you're in.
worldwide. We're a worldwide podcast,
okay.
Jesse. Get your news together here, the Nintendo Dads.
That's right.
Yeah, Australia had a Mario Wonder bundle that was announced about a week ago. And then this week, about midway through the week, Nintendo mentioned, of course, let's go back to an oldie but a goodie by 7 years. It's the Mario Kart bundle, which they have both the OG original Mach 2 Switch and the OLED Switch. Now, adding the OLED Switch to the bundle was sort of the new change. Plus, they all came with Nintendo Switch Online subscriptions for 12 months. And then just today, Europe announced their new bundle, or their bundles. And one was Animal Crossing, and one was Switch Sports.
Yes. With the leg strap. Don't forget the leg strap. Got to have that.
Why would you not, right? Like, whose brilliant idea was that?
Yes.
Whoever coded the soccer game.
Yeah.
Are we surprised? Are we surprised that they got another bundle?
No. Yeah, Jacqueline, what do you think of this? Like, this was coming, right? We all saw this coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
With all the stuff about this Switch 2 or whatever the heck what they want to call the successor being out, of course, Nintendo is going to try and squeeze as much as they can out of us before an official announcement is made for what will replace the Switch.
Clear the warehouses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I do think like that's such a really important part to know. And I like when the announcement came out, because there was a lot of like Nintendo back channel Twitter conversations of like they're announcing SKUs and we're getting announcements from Best Buy and I'm seeing secret things, and like there was a lot of buzz around it to come out, and everyone's disappointed with the bundles. Like, first, no duh, this was coming. Right? Like, of course this was coming. We've all been here before. And then the other part, like, and Jacqueline, your commentary is so spot on there. They have to move these products, right? And you are right around your holiday season. Like, this is peak sales time, right? So you need to bundle them. You need to make them desirable. You need to, add value, right? So it's a Switch. It's a popular game. It's online subscription. I was shocked that people were as up in arms about this as possible. I would have loved for North America to actually get an additional bundle beyond just the Mario Kart one. Like, I think the Mario Wonder one, that's a great bundle. Yeah. That would be really great to have up here.
But isn't there in the past couple of years, haven't they always added an additional bundle when we get closer to Black Friday? Because it's not always just the Mario Kart bundles. There was always something else.
Last year was Animal Crossing, right? They did the Animal Crossing lights.
And then we had the Mario Wonder for the OLED last year.
But that wasn't a bundle, was it? It was just a new Switch system.
I thought that was a bundle, but that was announced later.
I didn't think it was. I think North America has always been Mario Kart. So
it's always Mario Kart, but and there's always something else usually in the mix. Either like Fortnite had a bundle one year, and then other things that come up. So
yeah, and this goes back to like they have sales targets that they're tracking for. We're fully aware of that, right? They're very close to being the number one selling console of all time. We know they're very close to that, right? And you're coming into your holiday season,
and the closer we get, the more Sony is trying to move the goalpost.
Right, exactly. We've talked about that. Like, you either need to reduce the costs of the bundles. You need to add value to the bundles while you buy them, or you need to create specialized editions, right?
Yes.
That's how the market moves. So Nintendo is, we are going to add
done 2 out of the 3
as we can. Yeah, 100%, right? And so they're positioned themselves in a great place. I don't think anyone who was like waiting to buy a Nintendo Switch is now going to buy it, right? But I do think you are going to see some, hey, we may have to, little Timmy's Switch broke, so we're going to get him a new one, right? And so here's a great bundle.
When did that happen?
Yeah. I think from now on, we're just going to call you Little Timmy. Jacqueline, remind us, what Switch are you rocking? Are you still OG? Or are you OLED? Or what are you doing?
I'm OG. It's funny you mentioned Little Timmy breaking his Switch because I broke mine during the move.
Oh, no. Can I interest you in a new holiday bundle? Use the promo code NINDADS to not get any additional money off.
Oh my god! No, I have to replace it. My PS5 did not get damaged.
I was wondering where you're going to going with that.
So I'm going to ask you. So and you only had one Switch, right? Like you weren't a sicko like the rest of us. Okay. So it's broken. Are you going to replace it? Or are you going to wait a couple months and see what Nintendo does with the Switch 2?
I'm going to replace it. I have my eye on a few special edition Switches, like the Zelda one that came out when Tears of the Kingdom did. Either that, or I know there's a few Splatoon ones out still. And I have yet to play that franchise. Do not get mad at me.
No, it's a great. No, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a great franchise for sure.
Yep. And you also, if you're interested in the light one, they have the new Zelda Light, Switch Lite coming out too.
Yeah, I saw that. And aren't we doing a giveaway?
That's such an amazing segue, Jacqueline. Yes, we are doing giveaways. As a matter of fact, if you tune in next week, we're doing a giveaway live on the show, as we promised. We have got a Nintendo Switch Lite, and by have got, Marty has a confirmed pre-order that we've paid for. So that's what we've got for you. And next week, we are going to give one away live. Hey, the only way you need to enter is be a member of our Patreon subscriber. That includes our Twitch subscribers as well. Correct, Timmy?
Yes, that is
Thanks,
correct.
Timmy. I appreciate that.
All right, cool. So hopefully there's, we all have our Switches, except for Jackie's got to replace hers. But there could be people who still don't have one, or they're just old enough this year to finally get that Switch, and they'll be perfect for these holiday bundles. So good to keep those in mind for those who are just coming of age for the Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
Like what, 13?
Whatever age that might be, whatever people decide.
5. Yeah. Kids who weren't yet born when the Switch was released.
Right. Now they're 7, 8, whatever. I don't know.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is sort of crazy when I think about it. It's like when the Switch came out, my youngest daughter was 7. Now she's 14, right? Like she was learning how to play video games, and now she does it all on her own.
Sammy was 9.
So that's sort of, that's like the general, like just like time is weird. I don't like it, or getting old.
Right.
Yeah, the Switch released like 2 months before my oldest graduated high school.
And now that person is retiring from their job, which is incredible.
They're joining a retirement home.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Next up in the news is, guess what? Nintendo and the Pokemon Company filed patent infringement lawsuit in Tokyo District Court against Pocketpair Inc. Who's Pocketpair Inc., you say? The people behind, or ask, I should say, the people behind Pal World. They're finally making a move on them.
I loved like I am so curious what happened at Pocketpair, because when Pal World was released, and for those of you who don't remember, like it looks like, now it's not, it looks like Pokemon with guns. Like that was how it was described. All right. The game comes out in January. It does really, really well. Like it's on the tracking well for like Twitch and Steam and all the usage. And like everyone is saying, how are they getting away with this? Like this is infringement for sure.
For sure.
Very rarely does the Pokemon Company ever respond to something, but they actually put out a tweet in late January, which was essentially, yeah, we know, we're looking into it. And then there was nothing.
It was quiet.
Months. And I'm wondering how often Pocketpair was like, I think we're good. I think we're okay. I don't think they figured anything out. And then sure, look at, ring the bell, and the Nintendo ninjas, along with the Pokemon ninjas, show up and serve some papers to Pocketpair.
Just before they go version 1, because I think they're still early access.
Yeah.
And and they recently announced they are going to go on to PlayStation.
Well,
can I tell you where they're not going to go?
PlayStation, Sony didn't Sony invest a lot of money in with Pocketpair?
Xbox.
It was Xbox. Okay, all right.
Yeah, because you can download it for $0 if you have Ultimate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Are we shocked by this at all? Like, come on, this had to be coming, right?
Well, I kind of forgot about it. Like, To be honest, it was like taking so long. I forgot that they even cared about it. So
yeah, I remember saying that in terms of copyright infringement, I think they did everything fine, but Nintendo isn't getting them on copyright; they're getting them on patents.
Yeah,
which I don't patent scrolls, so I don't really know what's out there. Apparently, and so before I continue, I want to Pocketpair's response was, at this moment, we are unaware of the specific patents we are accused of infringing upon, and we have not been notified of such details. So basically they said, I don't know what you're talking about.
correct.
Anyway, apparently...
Pikachu.
Right. What was that?
As they strap a gun to Pikachu and try to sell it as something else.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I saw on Twitter or Facebook, I think it was Facebook, one of the patents that might be in question is a creature in a ball, you throw it to release it.
Now so listen, I'm just a small-time backcountry lawyer, but I don't know if that's going to hold a lot of weight down here.
It's in multiple patent rights, though, too. So,
but yeah, which is, again, they're doing this in Tokyo and not North America, so there's probably a difference in where they think they can win.
Yep.
Yeah, I do love the Pocketpair's response, and I want to, Jesse, start this. I'll continue it off. At this moment, we're unaware of any specific patents we are accused of infringing upon, and we have not been notified of such details. It is truly unfortunate that we will be forced to allocate significant time to matters unrelated to game development due to this lawsuit. However, we will do our utmost for our fans and to ensure that indie game developers are not hindered or discouraged from pursuing their creative ideas.
We're just a small studio. Why are you picking on us?
Independent studio who might have been funded by Xbox.
That has that Microsoft backing, yeah.
The big bad Nintendo and Pokemon are coming to get us. Like, there's come on. Like, the PR team sat with this one for a while and was like, you know what we can do? We can spin it to make us look like the victims, right? And here's what we're gonna do. This was no shock, and I am very curious about the patent infringement, because also if the patent infringement is throw ball, capture creature, and the capturing of creatures is the problem, there are a lot of other games that may also be at risk of this, right? Was it Tuma? There was a game that came out last year that was sort of like a Pokemon clone as well, very much done in, I think, Jesse, you watched it.
I think I played some of it, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that feels close as well.
It wasn't good.
We have to remember that, Pokemon is obviously such a massive IP, right? It is, so anyone sort of having any influence or impact on their brand recognition or potentially tarnishing their brand that is very specifically aimed at children, they're not going to mess around. Right, this is a billion or trillion dollar industry, right? For them, they're not messing around. So
I would probably wager on the trillions with all the
the fact that you had a creature that looked like Pikachu running around with a handgun. You're upset that they came for you, right? I'm sorry, Pocketpair. You got nothing. It will be real interesting. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting. A couple of things if they settle out of court. And again, I'm backwood country lawyer. I don't know the rules, right? If they're going to settle out of court or whether they're actually going to go to trial on this. Because, I mean, the Pokemon Company could probably make a pretty good example of Pocketpair if they wanted to.
Yeah,
right?
That's
and that's not, and I sort of hear they say hey, we don't want our staff and creative folks and ideas to be punished, but you got to sometimes make an example of someone, and Pocketpair may be the ones that are going to be made an example of. And I believe didn't Pokemon do another lawsuit earlier this week too for another company who was actually using Pikachu and Ash as
that was a mobile game, and I saw that game. I'm like, that isn't going to last long.
No, they don't mess around for sure.
No, they don't. In this case,
Jacqueline, go ahead, Timmy.
I was going to ask, do you all think, and Jackie and Rick, let us know what you think too. Do you think that this could be an example of something to come back and bite Nintendo and Pokemon for being the big bad company trying to, squash a small, poor independent company, just trying to, be creative?
You can be creative without strapping a gun to Pikachu or Bulbasaur or Jigglypuff, Charmander. I mean, I know a few, but they're in the wrong. I think if Nintendo and Pokemon were to make an example, they have the perfect opportunity to do it. And it's what Pocketpair is trying to do is say, oh, don't let you big bad companies steal your dreams. Well, technically you're stealing theirs. So maybe you should get your story straight.
What about those on the who are into the, Pal World and playing it and say, there's a difference here. Why is Nintendo trying to shut it down? Why is Pokemon Company trying to shut it down?
No, they have direct access to the patent and the work that went into it. I mean, they really shouldn't be saying anything.
Justin, do you think it would be in their best interest to maybe give some ideas, not ideas, but Nintendo and the Pokemon Company to give kind of like, this is what they're infringing on instead of us trying to guess what they're infringing on?
Yeah, I mean, I do think the clarity, it'll be interesting to see if we actually ever see the document specifically about what the infringement is, right? Because I think that there is because really what I think that what Nintendo and Pokemon probably don't want to get themselves into a case of is it being so wide of an infringement that it capsulates several other games, several other studios, several other initiatives that now you're like, well, we do it, but that team does it, and that team does it, and that game sort of does it. That's a very, very dangerous spot, because now, sort of to Jacqueline's point, now the PR is shifting. Now it's big bad Nintendo coming for everybody. Mm-hmm. Right. And so they don't want to be perceived as targeting specifically, but they also don't want to be wide enough that they're going to take down others, unfortunately. I will be very interested if we ever actually see what the patent infringements are specifically, because I think that will be very telling in regards to what they did. I actually find it interesting that they didn't feel that they could go far enough in regards to maybe like intellectual property infringement. That's what I find interesting, right? Like, no one made the call of like, no, that's clearly Pikachu with a gun, right? Like those model renderings, that's Bulbasaur, but like he's purple and he has a shotgun. Like, I'm shocked that I'm really shocked that they're not going for that. They're going for patent, which is very interesting, right? Yeah. And I wonder if there's some argument that of like, well, the IP infringement may be more difficult because of how wide it is and how how can you specifically claim like that's not sort of when it's in public eye, sometimes that can be a little bit dicey, right? Patent is a very interesting thing. Patent of a function, patent of a process, patent of a gaming, event. Like, what is it exactly? That's interesting. I have no idea, but I'm fascinated by it.
For sure. Jesse.
Yeah, other things. I said this something similar when it comes to like emulation. Yeah, obviously Nintendo doesn't like that, but they haven't really ever put it into court because they are kind of afraid. What if we lose? That's a can of worms that they don't want to open. They want to keep that in the gray area. So here, if they lose, that's a can of worms. There'll be a whole bunch of other Pal World copycats.
I'm going to suspect
that market's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I'm going to suspect if they feel confident enough that they can put this lawsuit forward, they are comfortable enough that they are absolutely going to win.
Yeah, but if then now it's on it's on Pocketpair. If they don't think they can win, they will definitely settle. We saw that with the Switch emulator.
Yeah. Do you think Pocketpair
they settled to keep it out of court because also they don't want to lose half their profits in lawyer fees.
Do you think Pocketpair now has, if it was them on their own, they probably would settle, but now they have the support of Microsoft. Do you think that could help them fight this?
But I don't think Microsoft wants to just throw money at this.
Yeah, I don't.
Right?
Yeah,
Well, they threw.
Microsoft
think
already gave them the
though,
money. They're not going to give them any more. I don't think.
before they gave them that money, though, I would think that they would have done their due diligence to see, is this a threat to get sued by Nintendo? And if they found any type of loopholes or anything like that to say, yeah, we can support this game, let's go ahead and throw money at it.
Well, I'd be interested to understand Pocket. I was going to say Pocket Monster, Pocketpair, and
Weekend.
their
Even
their
that company
relation-
name is.
Yeah,
iffy.
right. Their relationship really with Xbox. Xbox is not the publisher. I don't think Xbox is a publisher. I don't think Xbox is the public or the developer. What Xbox is the platform that it lands on. So Xbox isn't necessarily responsible, right, for the
Correct.
content. It is the rather which store you choose. It could have
they
ended
just
up on
paid-
PlayStation.
They just paid for early access distribution.
Yeah, they paid for early access distribution as they would any other game that they're looking out there to get, right? Core Keeper, any of the other ones. That's how the business works, right? So they are not specifically funding the game. They are
Correct.
wanting the game on. So I think Xbox is actually like their hands are sort of clean of it, although it just sort of looks a little bit weird, right?
Right.
Like, yeah.
That's what I would think that big of a company would do their research to say, hey, are we in trouble here, or will we get pulled into this or whatever, or, I mean, even if I understand they're just throwing money at it to say, hey, come to us first and all that kind of stuff. And then they got that time. But at any point between at the very beginning and now, we didn't know when the ball was going to drop, for this movement that they made. That Pokemon Company.
I suspect there is some fantastic legal document between any company that works with Xbox in regards to publishing content on Game Pass and Xbox that basically says you're doing your own stuff, and if you go down, that ain't us. We are not held responsible at all. That is a good point.
Very good point.
That's on you. Enjoy. And there's probably a document that I suspect Pocket Pal is like dialing up Xbox right now and feels like block. Right? Like going to voicemail. Like, I ain't taking that call. Some Xbox business rep right now is like just getting hounded by Pocketpair. Like, help us.
What do we do?
Yep. Don't know you anymore.
All right. Well, that is a great discussion we had there, and we'll definitely be talking about this probably more as we learn more throughout the rest of the year. Until then, let's move on to the next topic, which is Splatoon 3 is done. We just got the last regular update with the Grand Festival, and it ended support after its 2 years running. So
just when Jacqueline was getting ready to jump in.
Right.
She was just getting ready to jump into Splatoon and they pulled the plug. What is going on?
If only her Switch didn't break in the move.
Actually, they if only Jacqueline had supported, they wouldn't have pulled the plug. You know what I'm saying? If she had purchased the game, they would have been like, no, we'll keep it going longer.
They would have done it a whole other year.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's okay, Jackie. We won't blame you for that. So do you guys foresee that there would be a Splatoon 4 at the launch in the launch window of Switch 2?
Within the next 2 years, you will see a Splatoon 4.
Oh, that's too big of a window. I'm talking about the launch window, which is usually...
I don't think it'll be right away, but I think it'll be announced within the year.
What if they did a special edition with some DLC? Some franchises have done that. Re-release, relaunch.
I think it could be interesting because I think what you'll eventually see is the Splatoon 3 side order DLC that they had issued out in February will be part of the Nintendo Switch Online bundle, similar to what they did with Splatoon 2, which the side, whatever their DLC was, side missions became part of the DLC bundle as well. I think you'll see that Octopath or something.
No, Octopath is a different game, but
that's a whole
I was about
game,
to say it, but yeah, the Octo expansion or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know if they do. Here's the thing. I think Splatoon. God, I'm gonna send your angry emails to Marty Estes at gmail.com or nintendodads.com. I think Nintendo can sort of look at Splatoon similar to how they look at or how Ubisoft, or now Xbox, looks at something like Call of Duty. Not quite annualizing it, but close to like 2-year annualizing of it.
Well,
that
we
they
saw
can go quick enough.
went from Splatoon 2 to Splatoon 3, and we were all shocked when we got that announcement.
Yeah, and as like here's a reference point. When Nintendo Dad started nearly 10 years ago, Splatoon the original hadn't been announced yet. We are at the 10-year mark coming up here in October, and we've had 3 full games plus 2 DLCs that have cycled. You don't think Nintendo sees this as a cash cow? Like,
Right.
100%, they are going to have one, and they're going to have a Splatoon 5. They're not going to do like a Splatoon Ultimate. They're not going to do that because why? They can make money the other way.
Right.
Where a lot of other studios are having problems even releasing 2 games within 10 years, much less almost 4.
Right.
And I think even if you look at like the Splatoon 2 to Splatoon 3, and we talked about this when the game released, were the changes enough to justify a new game? Not really, right? Like it felt like the Overwatch to Overwatch 2, like just do a free big patch update, maybe charge $20 and you're good to go. But they know if they annualize it, put a number behind it, they can make more money, right? And not only in the game, but especially in the Japanese culture, there is a huge subculture of Splatoon, right? It has penetrated sort of the cultural ethos there, similar to Pokemon, similar to Mario, right? It is a massive influence.
Live holographic concerts.
Yes.
Yeah. So they've tapped into something there. So they are not going to let this lay dormant very long, right? They're already actively in production of a Splatoon 4. It will be on the Switch 2.
Yes.
So just in time for Jackie to play it.
Jackie and Rick, do you guys, I know you guys do cons here in the States, but have you ever thought of doing any cons over in Japan?
If I go to Japan, you'd have to drag me back home kicking and screaming. I'm going to want to go to Hello Kitty Land, the Sailor Moon Museum. I'm going to drag this one everywhere.
All the theme cafes.
Oh, yeah. Going to hit them all.
The reason why I ask is because I'm sure if you guys were to do cons over there, you'd probably see a lot of Splatoon cosplay there. More so than maybe you might see here. I don't know if you guys seen any at the cons you've been to. Have you seen any Splatoon cosplay at all?
No.
Interesting. Okay.
And again, when
it's not as big here as it is there.
It's a mixed bag. It's like the Forrest Gump quote. It's a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get.
That's a good way to put it. Good way to put it. All right, next up on the list of news is lots of developers got invited to Nintendo this week. According to Liam Robertson, video games researcher, speculation is mounting online that they may have been invited to see the successor to the popular Nintendo Switch. What do you guys think? It's not been confirmed, but that's speculation.
I've seen stuff on Reddit, actually. There's a few threads open about this, and we have this confirmed. No, you don't. You're lying. It's confirmed. We have this. No, it's not. This is fake. And I'm just like, all right, knock it off. Like, how old are we? Are we kids?
It's just like what we saw in magazines, right? Back in the day when it was like any kind of news about the next system, we'd get excited about reading it in there. But now that we don't have a whole month, we have to wait for the next magazine. Any type of news that comes out about anything about this is leaked on the internet. So
yeah, this is tough because I think that like a couple things I'm noticing, like y'all Nintendo fans, y'all thirsty. You know what I'm saying? You are thirsty for something. All right. You're creating like, just connections that may or may not be there. But it's funny because it's lots of developers have gone to Nintendo. There's a picture of the guy from Limited Run in front of the Nintendo sign, and he's got like one of those like "Hi, my name is" badges on, right? That's not lots. That's one. Do you got more? Like what more? How many more do you have? Show me evidential proof, right? Limited Run. Typically, like they could be there for anything. Now, is it plausible that developers are there seeing the Nintendo Switch, what its hardware specs are. Potentially, yes, right, for sure. So they have an insight into what they have to begin to design and build for, and what they could begin to port over. Yes. Does that mean that we are near a Nintendo Switch 2 announcement? No. Those are two different things, right? One is hardware specs, dev units, right? Developer units, so that you get an idea of it. That is different than, hey, it's hitting the market on Thursday and y'all can buy a new one. Those are two very different places to be at. And so I think it's, there's a lot of I think wanting there to be smoke to create fire. There's definitely a lot of things going on, which we would anticipate right now. We're at the end of a cycle, right? But it also could just be regular check-ins with appointments, right? Limited Run is showing up and having some great meetings. We have great business partners. Yeah, of course, right? That could just be a regular part of, he may have actually just been in the area visiting family. And he's like, I'm going to hang out with Nintendo for a couple days, right? There's a lot of speculation. I even saw someone, our good friend Roger's Base, had said that he was traveling for an event and could not tell people what it was. And people were jumping conclusion he's going to Nintendo to see the Nintendo Switch. It could be, but you're also you're making a lot of theories and spinning, right? It's 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon connection, and it's getting a little bit crazy. So
yeah,
I don't know.
until they share a picture of Marty at Nintendo, I won't believe it. So.
Well, that's where Marty is right now. Marty is a high-level influencer.
Not going to believe it until I see a picture.
Which coast is he on?
That was the story we were telling. He was in New York when he's really over at Redmond.
I figured he had a WWE tryout or something. I mean, we all know how much he loves wrestling, so...
That's 100% possible.
My first thought when I read these in the notes is Nintendo letting them see it, or are they putting it in a dark box and letting them feel it?
Let them touch it, right?
Blindfold test.
No looky look.
I still want the all black version that they were giving out at the beginning, developer black Switches that were all black Joy-Cons, blacks,
that would be cool. I would like that.
I want the whole thing.
And we're gonna talk about it soon, obviously in our rumor section, but the fever pitch that is occurring right now in the Nintendo pundit space, content creator space, is crazy.
Yes.
Right. And really I want to be cautious in the statement because I understand we are pundits. We're literally sitting back here and quarterbacking how we would run Nintendo or what you should end up doing or speculating. Right. But when we begin to stoke those fires, right, and nothing comes to fruition, you're creating false expectations. Right. And that becomes a really dangerous thing in regards to now I'm really angry because Nintendo was supposed to show me the thing and they haven't. They're yes. They owe you nothing.
We had this problem before. Do you remember?
I was we had the same conversation 7 years ago.
The Pro, when people were talking about, the Pro is coming out, and then everybody was listing their wish list of what was going to be in the Pro. And then when the OLED was announced, not everybody, most people were disappointed because of the expectations were high, built up because of the leaks and this and that about what's coming. And then all of a sudden it was just an OLED screen.
Yeah. Jacqueline, what are you reading on the intraweb?
Well, the Reddit thread that I have access to, it's just kind of a back and forth where everyone's like, we have this confirmed. There's a SKU number out. No, there's not. There's this confirmed. No, there's not. And it's this back and forth on the Switch 2. And unless there's an official announcement from Nintendo, there's really nothing.
Yeah. There's this thing going on where it's I'm going to make a name for myself if I can release this information about the Switch 2. And it happened with the Pro, where I'm going to make a name for myself because the Pro is going to come out with this, that, and another thing.
Unless your name is Bowser and get caught by the ninjas, because we know what happens then.
Right. It's we've said before. Go ahead.
And Infrendo says, I heard the Switch 2 is solar powered and has a coffee maker with Manscaped attachment.
Love it.
I'm waiting for Jesse's Manscaped commercials because Justin, I'm sorry, every time like they do them, I turn red as many times as I've been on this show. The verbiage that's used is hysterical.
And
we try to make it entertaining.
It's funny too because we read them like
we normally do
for the first time.
Didn't Robo Jesse do one last month? I forgot.
Yes. Robo Jesse does one. We never read them ahead of time until that moment. And so it's like some of them catch us off guard too. But we're not quite yet there for the Manscaped ad. We still got a couple more pieces of news to talk about. So let's talk about the last item of news, and that's releases and updates that are coming out soon. So out now, we've got the 4 SNES games available via NSO app, which is Battletoads Double Dragon, Big Run, Cosmo Gang the Puzzle. And Jesse, you want to read that last one? Because you know I cannot read that. You do better at this kind of stuff.
Kunio-kun no Dodgeball Dayo Zenin Shugo, which roughly translates to, it's Kunio's Dodgeball. Assembled, everyone.
All of those games are now in NSO app. And they're all Super Nintendo games. So go check those out. Anybody here ready?
Jacqueline and Rick, what games do you want still to show up on the NSO?
Well, he's not much of a Nintendo person. I mean, he's been playing Fallout 76 on PlayStation 4 for how long now?
Nothing wrong with that choice.
It's a good game to get lost into.
Yeah, no, I've been locked into, the franchise in itself. I mean, I started off with New Vegas and went to 3, then went back to New Vegas, and I had a PlayStation 3, and then when 4 came out, I actually bought the 4 so that I could play Fallout 4.
Nice.
And then when 76 first came out, I avoided it because of all the backlash that I heard. And it wasn't until I was actually at a con and I saw it for $5 in a bin. And so I bought 76.
That's the
best time to get it.
That's good backlash pricing.
And got into it. And at that point, they'd already had a whole revamp of the game, and fell in love with it all over again. And I've been playing it now since. Well, it got me through the pandemic.
Wow. Okay. And did you watch the series as well? What'd you think of the series?
Oh yeah. Loved the series. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And in fact, tomorrow I'll actually be wearing my Bolt suit.
Nice.
Oh, nice. I definitely want to see pictures of that then.
That's very cool.
Very cool. All right. And next up is out soon, the Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit, September 27th. And keep an eye on our channel for a Let's Play or a first look of that game soon. And then out later is Tales of the Shire, The Lord of the Rings game, delayed till early 2025. We love that title here. The Lord of the Rings game.
No, we don't, or at least I don't.
It messes with you. Those are the games that are coming out soon. And with that, let's break for Manscaped.
Support Nintendo Dads is brought to you by Manscaped. All right, guys, it's the best time of the year. Football's back. That's right. We're talking NFL Sundays, college football Saturdays, and that glorious grind of fantasy football lineups. This is where your inner GM comes out, setting up the perfect fantasy roster, screaming at your TV, and last-minute waiver moves that either make you the hero or the guy that everyone ridicules in your group chat. Timmy, I'm looking at you, and you know you suck at this. But listen, while you're over there making sure your fantasy team is dialed in, don't let your personal grooming become the guy that gets you benched. You know what I'm talking about. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to fumble their grooming routine. That's where Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra comes in. Act as your all-in-one grooming playbook. From keeping things sharp down below the waist with the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra to taking care of your rogue nose and ear hairs with the Weed Whacker 2.0, this is a lineup that's going to keep you looking and feeling like a champ. on and off field. Join the over 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get yourself ready for kickoff by heading over to manscaped.com and use a promo code NINDADS, NINDADS. That's NINDADS, NINDADS, for 20% off and free shipping. Trust me, you'll be drafted in the real MVP of grooming this season. Big thanks to Manscaped for their continued support and keeping our body hair trimmed nicely. Thanks. Back to you, Tim.
That has to be the tamest Manscaped ad you guys have
No,
ever.
I was like, this one is actually pretty tame. I was kind of disappointed as I was reading through it. I was like, I'm going to have to send an
email for like the zinger, the term or something that comes with these. And now
nothing today. Today they're keeping it pretty calm. I don't know what's going on there. Like some of them.
Of course, part of that was mentioning fantasy football. And of course, I'm sitting here now crying inside because I had Pachenko in my lineup that he is now out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Because he got his leg messed up in that one of the last plays of the game last week.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A lot of people have been going through loss of players on their team rosters, and that's been crazy. But we don't have a question of the week about fantasy football. What we do have a question of the week for this week is, do you believe that the supposed leaks of the Switch 2 are real? Why or why not? Have you guys been keeping up on that? Jackie, have you been keeping up on that? Seeing all those rumors?
As we're talking, I have the Reddit feed up for Nintendo Switch 2, and this is hysterical. Someone said, screw it, I'm making my own. And let's see if I can show you guys my phone. Do you see that? Like, it's cardboard and it's a Switch.
That's awesome.
Like, this is the stuff I'm seeing amongst, there's a SKU number. No, there's not. There's this. No, there's not. So I think people are figuring it out that no, there's nothing available right now on that it's all just hearsay.
Have you seen the images that have been going out about 3D, essentially images of what the Switch 2 will look like, and then some snapshots of the parts kind of hanging around a table and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, there's quite a few things there. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you may want to kind of skip some of this conversation about what's being talked about there. But some of the things that were shown off were no rails on the Joy-Cons. So which leads to us to believe that it is magnetic, which will be very interesting to see how that holds up. There are 2 USB-C ports on the device, one at the bottom, one at the top. And I don't know, anything else you guys might have seen on there from the other images?
I think the other thing that I definitely found interesting was the larger screen.
It was very large, much larger screen, and then also triggers. There's oddly placed triggers on the back, not just your normal shoulder buttons that you see on the Joy-Con. So like there was, like here, I'm going to share for those who are watching right now. I saw these 2 shoulder buttons, but there was a third button off to the side right here that you can push. Like if you're holding yours like this, you can hit the button like this and go in.
Here's what I'm going to say about the leak. If the leak does end up being true, and this is the new Switch, including the specs that they did lay out, and I don't know if we're able to pull up kind of what all those specs are, Jesse, if you can find the document. They outlined it quite well. I would say the following. I'm not mad at this at all, right? Like if this is indeed actually the Switch 2, and it's got the specs we talked about, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want, which is a bigger, more powerful Nintendo Switch that plays my Nintendo Switch games. That's it. And this very much aligns with what the president of Nintendo said, which is we are looking at it more as a step up Switch, not a brand new, we're designing a whole new console versioning, right? So this aligns with a lot of those things. The magnetic Joy-Cons we heard patents for. So there's a lot of alignment there. Again, like if they end up showing, 2 weeks from now, here you go, here's the new Nintendo Switch, and that's it. Yeah. Sign me up. I'm buying it. I'm great. Cool. I'm happy with it. Jesse, you got those specs?
I have some specs, but I thought I heard other people give more details that I haven't found yet.
Okay.
But the high level ones that I found is CPU, custom NVIDIA ARM SoC or system on a chip, Drake, GPU is an NVIDIA Ampere architecture, whatever that means. CUDA cores, 1280. I don't know what that means. The 8-inch LCD display, 12 gigs of RAM, and 256 gigs of storage, which that was more than I expected. If that's true.
Yeah.
Well, so you're not mad at it. So I
Not mad at it.
actually did not look at those specs. I was mainly looking at the design part of it. So, and I think that's what a lot of people were kind of focusing on, because we've gotten a lot of specs leaks over the last in this year, and I know a lot of it's come up before, obviously, and this goes back to what we talked about earlier about all the hype about the Pro that didn't happen. So I'm afraid of this happening again, where there's all this hype about everything going on. But the thing that I was more focusing on again was the design, and seeing the triggers, the third set of triggers essentially, and then no rails. We've heard about the magnetic things, but I didn't want to see it until, I was waiting to see it to believe it, essentially. Like, were they really going to go up that next level for that tech to use magnets to hold it in place rather than rails? So, but anything else? Well, while you guys are thinking about what's that said, let me read some of the responses we got from our community here. So in Patreon, we got Simon, who said, "I'm more than happy to avoid these rumors. I want it to be a surprise when I watch the reveal. I just wonder what anybody else gets out of trying to spoil the surprise for everyone by claiming they know details about the next Switch. Keep up the great work, guys."
Yeah, I think Simon, to that point, it's being the person with the news the quickest.
Yeah.
It's the generation of the content creation. The amount of videos that I saw yesterday of, hey, I've got the insider track and here's what it is, and so let's talk about it. And I mean, in some ways, it's really what we're doing also. But like, it is first to have that conversation. It is someone trying to make a name in regards to themselves as well. That's really what people are trying to do. That's sort of that's chasing the content creator, dragon, if you would. And I think that's sort of the challenges that we see around this. And so everybody has an inside guy. Everybody has a person who's DMing them. They have all this evidence. You don't know anything until Nintendo like legitimately shows up. Remember when we all saw that like oval, clear shaped thing? We're like,
Yes.
This is the Switch. And like, no, it wasn't, right? We all lost our mind in every conversation that occurred around it. So that's really what it is. Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. Hoots also says, "I think the photos and 3D renders are probably legit. Who knows about the specs, though? If the other stuff is real, there's no reason not to think the specs are legit, too. I'm glad to see they're not completely upending their current Switch from form factor, but I do still wonder if it will be backward compatible from a hardware perspective, dock/Joy-Cons. It'll be sad if it isn't."
And I can't find the source, but I think something that Spawnwave talked about this morning, with the speed of the memory and the speed of the storage, sounds similar to what is in the Steam Deck and the Xbox Series S. So, just based on that, it's definitely if that's all true, the internal infrastructure is much faster than the original Switch.
Yeah, that's the stuff that I like to hear, is that stuff. Is it faster? Is it going to keep up with, to a certain extent, some technology so that we can get on the Nintendo platform certain games that we normally wouldn't see?
Which is why having developers potentially go to Nintendo this week, NOA, see the dev kit, understand the specs of what they're actually working with, allows for them to go back, look at their portfolio of games they currently offer and say, what could we make sure is there on day one when the Nintendo Switch 2 launches in 2025? That gives us approximately 6 months to get stuff ready, right? And probably 3 months until you announce the actual product.
Yeah, like, again, if all those specs are true, sounds like anything that's on PS4, Xbox One should be able to be ported over.
Yeah.
To a native app.
Yep.
Solo says, I think they are likely legit at this point. Feel more stuff leaks out about Nintendo products before they can officially announce it. I want the next console to be a Switch clone in form and hope it has specs that are taken seriously to better maintain a school-age player base with more alt options out there than ever and a potential lack of Nintendo's nostalgia. Darth Platypus says, for the most part, they seem legit. It seems like there is quite a bit of info getting out of Nintendo before they plan to let it be known. And CDub5298, I do not think the leaks are legit. It seems like every time we're close to a new console release, rumors and leaks go flying, and then when the actual reveal happens, we realize, wow, we were way off. That goes back to the whole Pro thing we were talking about, right? So
yeah.
And Zablanc, who was our guest host a couple times this month, not one lick of it is true, he says. And Ryan Munsey says, I don't think the leaks are real. Seems like a bunch of people feeding the hype train. We are all excited and waiting is hard, but that's all we can do right now. Nintendo will tell when they are ready. And Mecha Dragon says, I mean, they basically look like a Switch Pro, which we know Nintendo will not do for a next generation console and just make something completely different for whatever gen we're going into.
Yeah, I think that's important to recognize. And again, going back to the conversation that President the President Nintendo had back in May was that that is more like a iteration on it. They are not looking to do something wild and crazy and new. They're looking to iterate. And so I think like the word of Switch Pro, Switch XL, Super Switch, whatever you want to indicate that. And so that's why when we look at this, it's like, yeah, that sort of sounds exactly what they're thinking about or what they were expecting based on what they've been saying.
Yeah, because all of us still remember the Iwata era of Nintendo where he encouraged people to be creative and wanted the consoles to have a gimmick, etc. And we are now in the new era of Nintendo that post Iwata, that where it's very traditionally conservative Japanese business types of people running the show. I'm not surprised that the new Switch is just a better Switch, which is kind of exactly what we wanted and what we've been saying for the last year and a half.
Well, and I argue that, like, I don't think that the gimmick is lost. The gimmick of the Switch is you can pick it up, take it with you anywhere, and you can dock it and it's on the screen.
It's still a good gimmick.
Like that's the gimmick. And like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of things that are broke, do fix the Joy-Cons and that gimmick that needs to be resolved. But it still allows Nintendo in that space to still be creative and weird. Think of the stuff they did with Labo. Like, you're like, are you kidding me? That's all packed in here. Like what I'm curious about is like, what else are they adding to the Joy-Cons? What's the new, like, is it double HD rumble? Like, what are the things that they are adding in there that's going to be like, that's a game changer.
Yeah. That the case of the right Joy-Con had a new button, a square shaped button that no one knows what it's for.
You want to bet that that's to release the magnets?
No, it was on the front. I figured the magnet buttons would be on the back, but this was the front button. But I would think if that's the case, the left should have something new too. But the left is just a bigger version of what's currently left.
Yeah.
I can't wait because I always love mobile tech stuff, so it'll be interesting to see what they have.
But if it is magnet held as opposed to rail, great. I love it.
Yes.
Because sometimes those rails get loose and wobbly, and it feels like it's just going to melt in your hand. Or
Jacqueline,
magnet grip will be more stable.
When you think of the Nintendo Switch 2, what does it have to have for you?
What does it have to have for me? I agree about the right Joy-Con. Maybe make it a little bit less fragile, or maybe the movers did it. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to have a console that's portable the way the Switch is, I know you can get the shields and whatnot off of Amazon for $10, but Nintendo could also shield it themselves. and sell it that way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Nice. What do you think of the idea of the having different SKUs? So, like, I mean, right now we have, the OLED, the OG model, if you will, and then the light.
Mm-hmm.
So, but people have speculated, or we've talked about having how PlayStation has a digital version and then they have the disc version. And then now later on, they've come out with the Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Should Nintendo come out with here's one that, is more affordable for most people, and then here's a more higher end version of the Switch that is for those who are diehard gamers who want the top end Nintendo console?
They could do that, but if they price it too high, they might price themselves out of consumers buying their product. Right. Look at how much PS5 Pro is.
Exactly.
Being announced for.
That's why I was saying that they would have to have two SKUs. Yeah. Basically, the affordable version, and then here's the more higher end version with upped things.
Yeah, I don't want them to do what Microsoft did with the Microsoft Series X and S, where the S is slower spec than the X. So developers have to make sure that their game works on the lowest common denominator. So correct. If they do multiple SKUs, if the difference is just say storage, a 128 model and a 256 model, I'm fine with that. Shave $50, save out or whatever it is,
and screens.
And one OLED model, one LED model. I'm fine with that as well, as long as the internal specs are the same or both.
I agree.
I'm fine with it.
I agree.
And I'm still hoping for NVMe upgrades.
Yes,
because I think micro SD I think will just be too slow.
Okay. Very good points. We have some more responses from our community in regards to whether they think this is true or not, these images. Scars No More says, I don't believe they are. The successor to the Switch is gonna blow our minds. Nintendo is not lazy. They got something new cooking up, that, or it's gonna be a new Nintendo Switch Plus. Travis says, I'm going in with low expectations with hopes of a powerful device. I'd pay $499 for a powerful Switch. Would be nice if there were different options like iPhone does their lineups. This goes back to what I was asking.
Sounds like that's what Blanco said last week, right?
Yeah. Yep. And then Vic, who's also in our chat, says, I would like to think that the leaks, credible or not, offer more than a hint of what's to come. At least they are what I'm hoping for in the next generation. An overall continuance of the current Switch design, some enhanced components to support more AAA games, and some good old Nintendo surprises to keep us on our toes. I don't think we'll see a Wii U style departure from the original model because they've learned from their past mistakes, i.e. they still want to make money, and they know not to deviate too far from a winning strategy to impress their customers. This has been my TED Talk on gaming design and economics. Thanks, Vic.
Yeah. So then, with what we said about multiple SKUs, Ninfrendo says, 2 SKUs remind me of the Wii U era, because they launched with a white Wii U that had 8 gig storage.
Oh, yeah.
And since the firmware took up like 2.5, he took up almost a third of the storage just in the firmware.
Right. Good point. Well, and also too many people just ended up buying the bigger one anyways, right? So they stopped selling the white version.
And then like Xenoblade X was so large, they recommended people who bought it on disc to download an asset pack so it can be read off the storage faster than off disc. But if you had the white one, it wouldn't fit, unless you had an external hard drive.
That's crazy. I'm sure Nintendo learned some lessons from that, so that's probably why we.
Yeah.
We got a few responses from our social medias as well. I won't read every single one of them, but some of our friends on the social medias, like Nintendo Shack, Donnie said, in a world of advanced modeling and 3D printing, you never know. My take It's fun to talk about until confirmed and denied. And we agree. And Gary, our previous host of Nintendo Dad, said a CAD file and a 3D print. Nope, not real. And then let's see. Star Wars Dad says real because it will be revealed by the end of the month.
Nope. Sure won't be.
And then on the Facebook side, Adam Leonard from Mega Dad says, please, God, fix the Joy-Cons. I can't do this again.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, we had quite a... Thank you, everybody, for responding to the question of the week. It was great seeing all your responses there. And looking forward to talking about more of this stuff because I'm sure we're not done.
Yeah, after our segment with Jacqueline, because I know that she's got to bounce, she's got to get some sleep, right? Get ready for her con. We're going to talk about that in a couple moments. I'm going to tell you about when I actually think the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be announced. And surprise, it will not be this month. And I'll tell you why after we talk with Jacqueline.
All right. Good segue into that. We have our special guest, Jacqueline, our Patreon producer, and she had brought Rick along, but Rick is probably going to pass out somewhere because I know you guys are tired.
I think Aquaman has to go use the facilities. Okay.
But we wanted to check in with you. Thanks for coming in and sitting with us with the news and giving your feedback there. But what's been going on with you? How's the cons going?
So the last time I was here, which I think was a year ago almost, and everybody was here, I asked for your help with something. I don't need help with that anymore.
Congratulations. That's great.
Yes. See what happens in a year?
And what's funny...
That's what happens when we have new Patreon pledge levels, folks. I think it was like help Jacqueline with her love life was one of our pledge levels. And ladies and gentlemen, the Nintendo Dad's delivered. So if you want to support, and those are goals that you want to help, go over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads.
Oh my God. We were both guests for the same Comic-Con, and he was in full cosplay, both as Aquaman and from Fallout. I had no idea what the heck was going on. I'm signing photos, I'm talking to people, and he kept coming around to talk to me. And everybody on the con floor saw it except for me because I wasn't thinking about that. It wasn't until the con got out that my phone goes off and it's him with his number. And I'm like, oh, I get it now. Oh, wait, I don't know what to do after this. Quick, let me jump into Discord. Somebody help me.
That's great.
Oh,
that's fantastic.
We'll be at UltraCon. UltraCon starts tomorrow at West Palm Beach at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the South Florida Expo Center. We're both guests. This is a brand new experience for me. I am excited. I wish you guys could be here, but for obvious reasons, you can't. And I've kept you guys up to date with everything else in terms of the TV series Arcadia and my character. I've got banners, really big ones, with my character on it for the show. I'll be at Sci-Fi Valley Con in November for a panel, and that'll be different as well. It'll be my first time having a panel with the cast. I don't even know which one of them I kill off yet. I mean, At least let me hang out with them first.
That's cool. That's awesome. You get to be on a panel and stuff.
Yeah, like I know I'm a villain, I know I'm a bad girl, but like everything has been so tight and under wraps, and there's so much I want to say. I want to be like, I'm gonna get this person and that person and that person, but I can't.
Yeah. As you kind of think of like from where you were last year to here, is there like one particular thing that you were like, wow, this was really incredible? Like this was something I didn't anticipate, didn't expect, and it's sort of really a huge highlight maybe in the year that you've looked back on.
Probably when this one asked me to move in, and this has all been very recent, I didn't expect that at all. As a matter of fact, I took a shot at someone I had a crush on since I was like 12, around the time that I got cast for the show, and that person told me no. And I didn't realize it, but that rejection like set off my inner bad girl, and I started coming up with all these different ideas, and then I approached the show to see if I could do stuff on my own. And that stuff's been on social media since Valentine's Day.
Oh, wow.
And it's still getting reactions today from people that are learning about Arcadia. So like, I didn't know I had it in me to be bad. I really didn't, but it turns out I could be pretty good at it.
Yeah. And
Her origin story.
What other projects do you kind of have in the pipeline?
Apart from the cons, I mean, I've been contacted to host other conventions and shows here in Florida. I have some on the books for next year already. I don't want to take on too much because until I get a set schedule for Arcadia, I don't want to step on anyone's toes or overcommit and then have to tell someone, I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And with Rick, he has his own con schedule as well. And he's introducing me to other cons that I've never even heard of or been to. So I have to factor that in as well. And he jumps out of planes too, by the way. I have to deal with that.
Wow.
Ooh. When are you going to join him on that?
Oh, no, I'm not doing it. That's all him. I watch from the ground. I'm perfectly content playing cheerleader.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this that made me think of this question. Is there an ultimate goal that you're shooting for, or maybe even an ultimate role that you're shooting for?
I would love to be a part of the MCU. I don't know how that would happen or what character I would play or even whatever. I know the Snyderverse is dead, whatever replaces it. As much as I've loved comic books since I was a kid, I would love to, even if it's just for like 30 seconds, feel like I had a part in one of those kind of movies.
Nice. And it seems like you got a knack for hosting things too. Have you, is there like a ultimate goal for that, for hosting something that, like the Video Game Awards? Would you want to be on that show, being one of the, correspondent hosts or co-hosts or something like that?
I could do that, or San Diego Comic-Con, Hall H. Let me host whatever's going on in there. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
There you go.
And is that like, obviously the hosting part, but like, have you ever done San Diego Comic-Con?
No.
Is that sort of like on your radar of kind of cons to do?
It is. Rick's done it, and like he has a bag like this big of all the badges from all the different things that he's done, and I'm just like, oh my God, if I go, I would be overwhelmed.
Right. Well, you're in Florida, so when are you going to try to do D23? That's been becoming big. Trying to get involved in that somehow.
That would be fun. I wouldn't even know how to get my foot in the door on that one. But
Right.
Hi Disney, if you're watching, I loved it since I was a kid.
You never know who could be watching. You never know, because we never know either, or listening. But very cool, very cool. So all that wonderful stuff. What do you do? I know you're waiting to get another Switch, however that happens. But are you playing anything to keep yourself busy in between cons, in between doing stuff? Do you have time for any kind of gaming? And if you do, what have you been playing?
I've been trying to get all the side stuff done on Amazing Spider-Man 2 on my PS5. The problem is, if I've used Miles Morales for too long, there's a glitch. He gets stuck somewhere.
Oh, really? Okay.
If I'm in an alley or if I'm swinging from the rooftops, I've noticed with him specifically. And I'm like, oh God, not this again.
Right. Very cool. What's Rick playing? Is he still playing Fallout, he said? Is he still into that? Okay.
Daily, like clockwork. As soon as the new stuff drops, like the PS4 turns on.
Is it kind of like because I haven't played Fallout in forever, in the newer version in 76, is there kind of like tasks that have to be done daily that he goes in and does? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And there's like big events. There was a Mothman something. It was a preachy voice. It drove me insane. I thought of the Simpsons movie when he goes, preachy! I was like, you get to kill him too. Please tell me you do.
Yeah.
Is that game still MMO-like? Will they have multiplayer?
Yeah, this the 76 one is online for sure. So I don't think the other ones were.
No, all of the other Fallouts were single players.
Single players, right? Yeah, this 76 is all online. So, Jackie, I don't remember if we asked you this, and if we do, I apologize because I don't remember, and that's why I'm going to ask this question. What game made you become a gamer?
What game made me become a gamer? Well, let's see. I was hooked on Nintendo from the beginning with Super Mario Brothers and the NES.
Okay.
And, you know, the system has evolved. I think the last time I was here, I mentioned me and Sega never really got along. It was always a Nintendo household. But like, I wanted to save the day. I wanted to rescue and just to escape into a fantasy world, and video games provide an outlet for that.
Nice. Very cool. Any other? Yeah, Jesse's showing, waving around his television controller.
Yeah. And because it's tethered and it's hardwired to the system, that's as far as forward I can get it in
Right.
the camera frame.
So, Jackie, where can everybody find you and follow you and see your adventures in the cons and stuff? Where's the best place to follow?
Best place to follow would be on Instagram at Jacqueline Amir. I'm pretty easy to find. I don't think I could be missed at UltraCon. What me and Rick have put together, we bought some pieces, but we also 3D printed some pieces, and we're putting everything together. And you have to be there to see it. I'm going to take pictures. I'm going to film. I've got photos with me holding the bleeding heart from Arcadia available and stuff. It's just going to be a blast.
That's awesome.
That sounds like it.
Do you and Rick begin to sort of like plan couples costumings or cosplays now? Yeah. Okay.
Completely new experience for me. I'm not used to that.
Yeah. Since
How does that idea come together? Right? Because I mean, one of you may be really passionate about an idea or a character or a show. Someone may not be the same level of attachment. How do you sort of like find that space?
Well, he's been doing it forever. He got into cosplay because of his son. His son was dying from cancer, and his son was obsessed with Star Wars. And Rick decided, I'm going to try to become a Jedi for him. And he couldn't bring the theme parks into the hospital, so he decided to bring the theme parks to his kid. Unfortunately, his son passed before anything could really come to fruition, but the 501st actually was there for him at his funeral and took him in and basically sent him a stormtrooper outfit and said, here, you have this much time to put it together. We want you at this premiere. And because of that one tragic event, it was a catalyst for his cosplaying career. He's been doing it for, I think, 15 years now. That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And interesting story from Rick's side too.
Yeah, he could tell it better than I can. I'm telling what I remember of it. He's got so many stories.
Yeah. Very cool. Now that, since Justin brought up the couple aspect of it, and Rick is known for being Aquaman, or at least one of those things known for being Aquaman, are you going to be one of the characters in the Aquaman movie as well? Like
Mira.
Yeah.
Yes, that is my cosplay for Saturday. He made my crown. He made my trident.
Nice.
I'm just like, whoa, what am I getting into?
Very cool.
That's awesome.
That is so
That
cool.
is fantastic. Yeah, and you can just, just the observation as well, Jacqueline, is like, obviously, we saw you last year. There's just an energy and a joy that you can just see that comes across, not like on screen. There's just a big smile that you have, and definitely sort of a different place than I think you were last year, when it was sort of a call for arms or call for action, which is great. So congratulations. That's pretty tremendous. And thank you for just allowing us that opportunity to kind of see the insight of your life and where you are. And we're just honored and so privileged that you get to share that with us and actively share that with us as well. So thank you for that.
I got veneers too in March. That kind of helps a little bit.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Well, Jackie, thanks for coming in as usual and stopping in and also for supporting us the way you do and have been for the time you have. So thank you so much.
Almost 2 years now. Yeah.
And tell Rick that we wish you good luck this weekend and all the best and safe travels. And until next time.
You guys have fun, but don't have too much fun. Stay out of trouble.
Always. We're excited to see the photos in Discord as well.
Alrighty, I will share as soon as I can. I promise.
Cool.
Right.
Thanks, Jacqueline.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jacqueline.
Safe
Bye-bye.
travels. Take care. Bye.
All right, Justin. So you said you had something else
Sorry.
you wanted to talk about in regards to the Switch 2 rumors. What was that?
I'm going to go on my rant here. I'm going to go on a soapbox. All right. And I'm also willing, ladies and gentlemen, to take a pizza bet. if we really want to get into this. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I don't think we're going to hear about the Switch 2 officially from Nintendo until January of 2025.
So no teasers, no nothing until
Nothing.
January 2025.
No.
Okay.
I don't think we get anything. I think
my pen.
I think we will get a teaser in like January, February. Here's my logic behind this. All right. So listen carefully. I put it on Twitter and people are like, well, what about? I don't think Nintendo, like they've just put out new consoles. They're preparing for their holiday season. They've got banger of games. They've got Zelda Echoes of Wisdom coming out. They've got Jamboree. They've got Brothership. They've got a really solid lineup. They've got some solid bundles that I think are attractive to people coming into the holiday. I don't think them having an announcement for a new piece of hardware that is not going to be available at the holidays prior to the holidays is a good business decision that begins to lower people to buying the hardware that you have bundled together, right? They are that like it's just eating their sales. And Q3 or Q3 fiscally, quarter four calendarly wise is it's Black Friday. It's where they're making all their money. That's like it's the holiday. So you don't want consumers confused about your product prior to spending money on your product. So they're not going to say anything. But you'll be like, but Justin, actually, October was when they announced the Nintendo Switch. And the Wii U was out there. So I think that's an example. The Wii U was a system that was dead. Nintendo fire sale that thing as soon as possible. It didn't matter what day of the week it was. They needed to put faith in the market that there was a console coming that you should be excited about.
Yeah, with the Wii U, they didn't try to lower the price to sell out the warehouses. They just said, ship it back to us, return everything.
Yeah, that was a cut and run. So yes, it was done in October. Yes, it was before the holiday season. I get that. But that was a very different case. You are now leading with potentially a video game console that could be the number one selling console. You have got goodwill. You have amazing games. You have some of the best selling games ever. They're fantastic. They're the greatest things ever. You're going to love them. They're huge. You have all of these things that are working really well. You just need to ride this wave. And I know you're going to have all the Nintendo pundits and content creators and folks who are angry like, where's my Switch 2? It doesn't matter where your Switch 2 is because you're not playing it this year. It's not coming out this year, and it's not coming out before the amazing games that are coming out. By the way, where's my Switch 2? You're still going to buy Echoes of Wisdom. You're still going to buy Mario Party, and you're still going to buy Brothership. So shut up. All right? They have a plan. It's going to make them money. That's what a business does. So if you want to smoke fire, my inside sources tell me it's coming next week. My tarot cards tell me it's happening next week. No, it's not.
Nope,
it's going to happen.
The tower card is upside down, sir. You read it wrong.
Exactly. You are wrong. No Nintendo Switch 2 for you.
So that means you don't want your points then, I take it, right?
Yeah, I don't want my points.
So here's the deal. Here's how be announced. Here's how 2024.
Here's how confident I am. Okay. I am willing to take a pizza bet. I am willing to bet you that this console will not be announced in 2024 officially by Nintendo.
Yep, I hope that's true because then no points for you, sir.
Anyone want to take a pizza bet on that?
I don't think I want to.
Nope.
Yeah.
Not this time.
But here's the thing.
It makes sense what you're saying to me. Yeah. So
because the last time I was involved in a food bet, that was like $150 on the wrong side of my wallet.
Yeah. And I believe Timmy sent me a pizza a couple times ago too. That was pretty good. This is the challenge. This is sort of this is sort of the thing that makes me angry about content creation, clickbait, all of those things, right? Which is and this week has been bad. This week has been real bad, right? For it, of like, we are going to continue to get this. And we're going to continue. People are like, oh, I hear it's coming next week. I hear it's going to be middle of October. Like all of these rumors. And also like, why isn't Nintendo doing anything? And so the narrative that gets spun out is then like, you can't control the narrative now, and you're creating false expectations. So
we had the same conversation with the NX.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, I watched it this week, and it was just frustrating. Right. And that's like when we put out our tweet, we're like, and I put it out as like grain of salt. Like, this is a rumor, this is a thing, consider it. But like, to say like, no, here's the truth, here's what it is, right, is false. So
that's why I brought up the Pro thing, is to remind people that how crazy everybody went about the potential of Nintendo announcing a Switch Pro, with all these new specs to give it that oomph that everybody wanted. And believe me, I was one of those people that like, oh, that would be freaking awesome. I would totally buy that, and I would totally upgrade to that. But then when it came around, that all we got was the OLED, and there was something else bumped up a little bit too on that, wasn't it? It's like the battery or something like that, or
kickstand was better.
Yeah. So yeah,
I don't think the battery is any different than what's in the Mark II.
So it was just, and because of all the hype that happened, there was a ton of people disappointed. Oh, I didn't get that, new chip, or it doesn't have the DSLR or whatever it is, whatever those DSSS triple S or whatever. I don't know, whatever.
The pisser. Yeah. As PlayStation's calling it nowadays.
Yeah. So
like, does nobody like think that one out when they wrote it down? Like, did nobody go like pisser? That's a great idea, right? Like, come on.
Yes. So just remember, folks, remember the Pro. And I was also ticked off about how many people, so-called, what were they called?
Experts?
The experts, or the people who had their ear to the floor, or whatever,
insiders, whatever
insiders you want to call it, were like, oh yeah, this is coming, and we're getting this and this, and and all that kind of stuff. So frustrating to get all that built up and burned.
And there's a lot of like back channel talk, right? Like, oh, I have an insider who does this thing, and I have do you actually, or are you making stuff up to believe credibility, to create credibility, to create eyes on pages, right? And so
are you just Delulu, one of the three?
Yeah. Right? Like I don't know. Like I could be 100% wrong. Tomorrow morning we could wake up to tweet Nintendo's like, and here you go, here's a new Nintendo Switch 2. And I could be 100% wrong. I'm giving you my opinions and my thoughts as a person who is taking it from a business perspective and is thinking logical. Yes. I have no inside information from Nintendo. I'm just thinking logically what makes sense from
with your brain,
from a publicly traded company whose objective is to make the most money possible. And if you're like, no, that's not their objective, you are fooling yourself, because that is the objective of all businesses.
And that's the other.
Nintendo is a business.
Iwata did a good job at hiding that fact, because he is a developer and he was a gamer and he wants fun too. But still, I agree with you. The CEO's job is to appease the shareholders more than anything else.
Yep. And they did that by saying, by the end of March 31st, 2025, we will announce the new successor.
Yep.
That's all they needed to say.
So that's why people like you, Justin, come in to help put things in perspective, because unlike me and some other people who are fans of Nintendo and want to see certain things, we have, nostalgia, or this would be awesome if they did it this way. That's where our brains get in the way, or our hearts get in the way, if you will, to where it's like, oh, it'd be so awesome if they did exactly like they did before, where they did a teaser in October, and then they did a direct in January where they gave us more details, and then launch in March. Let's do that all over again. It went well. Let's do it again. So that's why a lot of people are hugging onto that.
Yeah, I think it's it's even funny because like we saw like Nintendo has done a Nintendo Direct for every single year since 2017, right? And so there's a pattern. So
Yes.
we should expect a Nintendo Direct in September. I hear you, and that's logical, and we've bet on those before. Like there's gonna be a Nintendo Direct in September. This is a transition year. Things are different. So if you're like, well, Nintendo has until the end of the month to do some type of presentation or direct where they're going to show us something, I wouldn't hold your breath, right?
Yeah, I think their August Direct was their September Direct a few weeks
Yeah,
early.
remember that partner showcase, that indie direct? That's kind of what you got. That's it.
Yeah,
right?
that was Nintendo dumping their loads.
I
There's nothing left.
I don't think Nintendo's got a lot to say in regards, like they've told you what you're going to have playing for the next part of the years. They've told you in September what you're playing. It's Echoes of Wisdom. They've told you in October what you're playing. It's Jamboree. They've told you in November what you're playing. It's Brothership. They told you in December just to go get some rest and use the eShop gift cards that your mom and dad gave you. All right. So simmer down. They told you in January it's going to be Donkey Kong Country. Okay. That's what they do. They've done that. So they don't need to they're not going to come out and show you something brand spanking new. And they told you that somewhere out there is Metroid Prime. Perfect. That's all they need.
And no Pokemon this year, apparently.
Yeah. This year? Yeah, no, but isn't XY?
Yeah, Legend ZA is it'll sometime next year. Don't know if it'll be early. Don't know if it'll be late. It's just sometime next year.
Yeah, and guess what? That announcement's not going to come from Nintendo. It's going to come from the Pokemon Company.
Exactly. But probably February 28, 29, Pokemon Day, whatever
Pokemon
the hell
Day.
That is.
Yes.
Near the end of February.
Yes.
That's my soapbox rant.
All right, let's go to what we've been playing.
Do it.
Justin, we haven't heard from you in forever about the games you've been playing. You got a long list to tell us about. No.
To be honest, I have just been in a season right now where I have not had a chance to play a lot of games. I will say I picked up Balatro. I was like, there's some letters I'm missing there.
There's a syllable missing in that.
There is. I picked up Balatro following the indie direct that came across.
Yeah.
I know Timmy, you've lost a lot of hours to that.
Oh yeah.
That's a problem. That's a game that could be a problem.
Especially the one more. I can do one more run.
Totally. It's a game that So I kind of like. So I have 3 Switches. I'm privileged. I'm blessed to have those things, and thank you Nintendo for sending us the console as well. So I sometimes like debate where I put stuff. If this makes sense. Like I manage where my games go based on what console I'm going to use and where I put it. So like the family Switch is sort of like if we get review codes, I'm like, I'm not super interested in the game, but well, I might play it. I'll put it there, right? Or it's a family game that I know everyone's going to play. I'll be on that one. If it's one that maybe I'm really interested in, I'll put it on the local, my OLED that's in my office right here by the capture unit. And then I have the Switch Lite, which is up by my bed. And so it's like, what are bedtime games, right? And Balatro is a bedtime game. That all of a sudden you start playing at 9.
If you want to stay up all night.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, and now I'm blind and it's 2 a.m. and I don't know what just happened in my life.
Yes.
So yeah, I was playing that, and that's a lot of fun. I saw it's coming to iOS. I think it's out this week or whatever. And I was like, please don't be on Apple Arcade, because if it's an Apple Arcade, it's free, and then I'm going to be in trouble. It wasn't. It's $12, and I'm cheap. So I'm like, listen, I paid for it once, I ain't paying for it twice. So there's that. I was also playing Peggle that came out on the showcase as well. Peglin, that was fun. I thought that was very cool. That kind of pachinko RP or pachinko fighter. I don't know what they call it. It was fun. I enjoyed that. Okay. Haven't played a lot of that.
That's one I have on my radar still too.
Trying to work through Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door, because I want to get that done before Echoes of Wisdom. I have 2 stars left. I now have to get a train to go to a bougie and posh part of town.
Oh,
so that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now. For those of you who've played the game, you know that. And then I'm really excited. Obviously, Echoes of Wisdom coming up here very soon. I've got to finish. I've got to finish Paper Mario, because if I don't, I'm just going to take out the cartridge. Zelda's going in, and it's not coming out for months. So it's like I gotta finish that off, or else I'm going to lose momentum. The other game I have played, and I just put up a first look of it earlier today, and I see Jesse's on your notes as well. The Plucky Squire. So that came out earlier this week. Devolver Digital is the publisher for it. This game has been on our radar for 2 years. Picked it up. I've got about 35 minutes into it, and I have really been enjoying it thus far. The 35 minutes. I will say, like, this is a really weird game from the industry perspective of pundits. Like, the game scores from, like, when a game is released, here's, IGN and Destructoid scoring 9s and 10s. And then I see others who are giving it like 6s and 7s. Like, the scoring for this game is like all over the map. The Metacritic, I think, has it like an 86 or something like that. So there's this kind of like really like weird, kind of all over the place commentary on the game. I really enjoyed the 35 minutes I played with. What I do find is, like, when you go into battle and you get hit and you've got your health bar, like, very quickly hearts come back, right? I never really felt like, there was only once I was like, oh, maybe I'm actually gonna die. And like, oh no, I killed that thing and there's a big heart. I'm full. So it kind of feels like it is definitely a little bit of like, I don't want to say babies first, because that sounds bad, but like, there's a story mode, there's adventure mode. I kind of wish there was a little bit more like expert gamer mode, right? Where it's a little bit more difficult maybe. But like, the idea of, I'm still in the storybook, the graphics, you can tell the Switch is struggling a little bit. I'll tell you that, right? You can kind of see the fraying around the edges just a little bit, but there's a spot where like these boulders come through the book and then they leave the book into 3-dimensional and you see them change. And I was like, oh, that's a really cool effect. So that's really neat.
I like how the characters comment on it, because from their perspective, they're just vanishing into thin air.
Right. So there's this kind of like fourth wall breaking. I think
they don't know about the out of book world yet.
Yeah. The VO by the narrator is fantastic. The puzzles of like moving words around, nothing has felt too complex or difficult at this point so far. Again, 35 minutes in, so probably not. I also love how like it's a top-down book and then all of a sudden now it's a side platform, right? And you're kind of, and nothing feels overly difficult, I guess I would say. Like at no point am I like, man, this is like Prince of Persia, Lost Crowns, my palms are sweaty, right? There's mom's spaghetti kind of anxiety regarding playing the game at all. But it's an enjoyable time. And it feels like one of those things of like, man, I kind of wish my kids were younger, right? And sitting down on the big screen, passing the controller back and forth. They're like, oh, what do you think you should do? Like, it feels like that game. But I'm also really just enjoying where it's at and what it's delivering me so far. But Jesse, I'd love to hear like your commentary around it.
Yeah, so I just finished chapter 4. So I'm about 2.5 hours in. And I'm playing it on the PlayStation 5. So I'm not seeing the frayed edges like you're seeing, but I'm liking it so far. Based on the conversations, looks like it could get buggy the deeper in you are. But at least I haven't seen anything up to, I think, through chapter 4. But yeah, I'm really liking it. I'm looking forward to playing more. That's going to be the game I focus on this weekend, I think. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to say, and now I can't think of anything.
Yeah, it's like you're enjoying your experience though with it. Did you go story mode or
I'm playing
adventure mode?
I'm playing the adventure mode, which is the default setting. Okay, yeah. And I've so far died twice.
Okay.
The first one was, so when you go into caves, it's like everything's a silhouette. You are a silhouette, monsters a silhouette, and I ended up falling into a spike pit. And
is that the first cave where you find your way, and then the egg is in the top right hand corner? You sort of jump over.
I think it might have been the second cave I found, not the first, but no, I think it was a cave in chapter 4, because both of my deaths, I think, were chapter 4s. And it's basically you hit the spikes, you take damage, you have some iframes, and then I tried to jump out, but missed the jump and landed right back in the spikes and took damage again, and that killed me. And then when you die, the page folds over and it says, "The Plucky Squire dusted himself off and went back into action," and then put you right back, almost where you died. So you almost no penalty for death, which is good. Then the second time I died, one of the boss fights are like mini games. They aren't your normal type of combat like the rest of the game is. So they're normally teaching you some new mechanic. So what the chapter 4 boss, about 15 minutes before you get there, you'll learn the mechanic in another mini game. That's where I did my second death. So I had to dust myself off and then just do it again. And I beat it that time, and then I was able to finish the chapter.
That's such a great call out. Like chapter 1, your boss fight, the honey badger, right? That is a direct call out to
that's a punch out.
Right? Like you're like, oh, this is fun. So there's a lot of like creativity, and I mean just the art style, right? What they're doing, the 3-dimensional, it's a very, again, just 35 minutes in, very cool premise and journey that you get to go through, right? And so you can kind of see the care, the love, the work through it. Like it's a really cool experience is what I would say for sure. Is it as challenging as I was maybe hoping? Maybe it'll ramp up. I don't know. But right now it's not as challenging, but that could also be okay. Not everything has to be like Dark Souls red level of difficulty. Sometimes it's okay to like just admire what's around you and take in what's awesome.
And I'm okay with it. I don't like it when games get challenging on me. Like I said last week with Yars Rising, got to the final boss. Skill issue. It's all on me. There's nothing the game is doing wrong. It's just me, and I can't do it.
Fair enough. Jesse, what else you been playing, buddy?
Actually, before you jump into the next game, Jesse, I have a question for you on the Plucky Squire.
Sure.
Because I think, Justin, I don't think you played it, but Jesse, I think you did, was The Legend of Wright.
Yes.
So there's a lot of similarities I'm picking up on it. I haven't played it yet, the Plucky Squire, but I beat The Legend of Wright, and I think you did too. But is there when you actually get into the game, is there still a lot of similarities, or is it just by the looks of it?
They kind of do different things. If I remember right from Legend of Wright, most of the play, like you played in book for like a third of the game, half of the game, and then it was out of the book, and you pretty much finished it out of the book, right?
Yes.
So
yeah, on the desk and all that stuff. Yeah.
So at least up through chapter 4, you're still doing most of it in book, but there are times there's the game gives you these portals once you unlock that ability, which Justin, you're really close to it. So where it'll let you jump out of the book at will, and then you can explore the desk and do what you need to do, find an item, or and then jump back into the book, and then you can bring an item from the real world into the book, and vice versa. One of the things that the game has you do is there's something on like 3 pages back that I want, so you can jump out of the book. And once you get the item to do it, you can then literally scroll back in pages, jump back in, get the item, jump back out, put it back to the current page, jump back in, and now you have the item from 3 pages ago in your current page.
Nice.
So it's a good puzzle mechanic, and the game does give you a hint of as you're flipping forward and backward the pages, if there's something of interest, the game tells you.
Okay.
And in a not too obtrusive way. In fact, I almost missed it at one point, and I'm glad I noticed it. Otherwise, I would have been stuck.
Right. Okay.
And then there's a little a little bit of, Baba is you going on, where you're able to, like, there's a sentence. You can take out a word, find another word from somewhere else and replace it. And then whatever the new sentence says happens in the book. So, like,
Great.
there's a huge boulder in your way. You change huge to tiny, and the thing shrinks,
Very cool.
like, instantly. So there's a lot
Very
of
cool.
word play going on.
But thanks for letting me know that. I was curious about that. So
Yep. And then the other game that I've continued to play was Persona 3 Reload episode Aigis, the Answer DLC. So I'm playing that on Xbox. I'm playing Plucky Squire on PlayStation, so I haven't touched my Switch this week. So one thing I noticed when I started playing The Answer is when I was in the Abyss of Time area that I talked about last week, there was 7 doors. So I'm presuming that there's 7 areas to explore before to finish the game. So I have completed 2 of them, and I'm 5 or 6 hours in. So, and then at first I thought, how I'm getting the money, I'm getting items in the main game, I'd be able to go to the police station to sell to get money. I can then buy my armor and weapon upgrades at the police station. So how do I do that here if I'm just stuck in the dorm? But after you beat the first door, it kind of gives you a path to the mall that has the police station in it and a few other businesses. So you can go to the pharmacy to buy your potions. You can go to the antiques to trade in your gems to get different weapons and armor, things like that. So more of the game will open up as you progress. I'm taking it. So I don't remember if anything. I finished the second set of doors, but haven't gone out of world to know what happens next. So that's where I'm at. So, but I'm probably going to finish playing Plucky Squire before I go back to play more of The Answer.
okay. Well, it's a long. Usually, Persona games are longer, anyways. So, and the Plucky Squire sounds like a short game. So
yeah, but this isn't a full game. This is just the DLC. Yeah, it's pretty much all fighting. It's like where your normal base game has a mix of fighting shadows and dating sim.
Okay.
But this doesn't have any dating sim part. It's pretty much
so instead of 100 hours, it's only going to be 50 hours. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm guessing it'll be a 30 to 35 hour type of thing.
That makes sense. Very cool.
I did play. I remember playing The Answer on the PS3, PS2 version. Was it PS2? Yeah, it was PS2. But back then, you could not play in the normal difficulty. You had to play it hard or harder, or whatever was above hard. And so I got a distance into the game and I got to a stuck point just because I'd never liked playing Persona games under hard. But here, you do have that normal difficulty. In fact, you have 2 levels easier in addition to 2 levels harder if you want. So I'm playing it on normal.
Okay. Don't blame you.
Yeah, that normal is normally where I play Persona games. I think when my son played through Persona the base game of Persona 3, I think he played it on easy just because he just wanted to really experience the story and not as much the gameplay, which is fine. That's what you want. That's what it's there for.
For sure.
But so I still like to try to play everything on normal if I can. And then if I really want the challenge later, I'll bump it up. But normally, normal is challenging enough. Or I kind of like being able to overlevel myself and just wreck house. That's kind of the part of the fun of that type of RPG is just killing everything in one hit.
That's how I like playing SteamWorld Heist 2. Trying to become OP, make my characters OP. So that way I can just wreck house. Is that it, Jesse? Is that all your games?
That's all I've got.
All right. So speaking of SteamWorld Heist 2, I'm still playing that, getting close to the end. And I thought I was closer before, but this time I think I'm at the getting towards the end. So hopefully this weekend I'll be able to get that completed because I'm looking forward to completing that game and moving on to the next game. Not sure which game that'll be. Probably going to be Zelda because that comes out next week. So it'll probably be that just in time for that. But
Yeah,
the other games
speaking of that, I hoping to do a Wednesday night stream.
Nice. Yep, because you'll be getting that early. Awesome.
Yep.
All right. The other games I've been playing is the Elder Scrolls Castles, which is a mobile game. I downloaded it because what captured me was that it was described as remember the Fallout game? I forget where you built your own underground, vaults and stuff like that, and you had to build up on it and kind of manage. I forget what it's called.
I got
Fallout Shelter.
Yes, thank you, Fallout Shelter. This was described as, same, but in the Elder Scrolls world, and you're building a castle and all that and managing, the people that are in the castles. So I was like, oh, I had fun with the Shelter game. Well, let me try out the castles game. So I've been messing around with that on my mobile phone.
I just looked. I have Zelda downloaded. Just have to wait until Wednesday.
Nice. So yeah, like I said, that's on my phone. I mess around with that every once in a while. A couple other games that we actually have or will have first looks out on soon is Selfloss. It's a game that we received a code for that I checked out and will hopefully be able to jump back into, where you are an old man who is trying to right some wrongs that he's done in his life. Basically, he made a deal, if I understand correctly from the beginning of the story, especially when you watch the first look, you'll see what the story is leading up to. But he made a deal with, I believe it's a god that a god of whales or something like that. And you are trying to find your soul, essentially, or trying to right what you did wrong from dying, I guess. And there's more in the story, and it's supposed to be a very touching, emotional story. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. I forget how long the game is. It's a short game. Both these games are short games from what I understand, about 10, 15 hours each. Self-Loss is one of them. And you're basically an old man, and you got to use a staff that provides light, and then to certain things. And then if you focus that light, the light will do damage to certain enemies. There's definitely more to the game that I haven't experienced yet, because like I said, I just did the first look, and that's where I kind of left it. But I want to go back from what I played from that experience. Again, the game is called Self-Loss. The other game I was playing is called Wild Bastards. It is the successor to Void Bastards, which was a game, first-person game that was out before, like several years ago for the Nintendo Switch and other systems. Wild Bastards is kind of still the same thing, first-person shooter, where you're kind of like in kind of an Old West type setting, but through space. And you pick up different characters in your spaceship, or you're unlocking different characters that have died, that have been housed in this spaceship. And you go through paths in space, kind of like it is a roguelike game, to where you pick up different abilities to get through these paths and be able to fight the different bad guys in the different I was going to say ecosystem, but solar systems that you fly to. So it's roguelike, where you, like I said, where you get to pick up different abilities that you can keep, but then there's other abilities that you can lose. Bless you, Justin. But so far I'm having a lot of fun with it, because it is, again, a first-person shooter. It has some different things that I've seen or played before, with it being first-person shooter and strategic elements to it and tactics elements to it. And of course, there's some even cards where you get aces that help you give you abilities that you get to keep between solar systems. And then there's other abilities you get along the way in the solar system, but when you go on to the next solar system, you lose those abilities. So you have to kind of pick and choose what you get to keep for each of the characters, but some add-ons like their weapons or armor, or I can't remember what the third thing is, but there was a third item as well, though you lose those in between solar systems. So, but again, I'm having a lot of fun with those two games. Totally different opposite of the Spectrum type games, but Wild Bastards is a lot of fun too, that I hope to be able to jump back into at some point as well. So those are the games I've been playing. And so that means we move on to the community spotlight.
Sweet.
So community spotlight is going to be very short, and we'll be able to close out the shows shortly. But before we do, just want to remind you that you can, if you like and subscribe, the usual things that we tell you, you'll be able to keep up on the things that we do on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for the live Let's Plays or first looks, or when we drop a video of any of those types of things as well. So make sure you keep an eye on those, turn on those notifications, so when we drop them, you'll get notified of that, as well as whenever we go live for, say, Friday or Saturday night NSOs. Also want to remind you of our contest that was mentioned at the top of the show. Again, we have the Zelda Switch Lite. By next show, we'll be doing it live, where we'll be giving away and indicating who won the Zelda Switch Live. And the way you get entered into that is by simply subscribing via Patreon or Twitch. Either one of those, like our friend who just subscribed on the channel, Bewitched 55. They subscribed, so now they're in the running to win the Zelda Switch Lite. So between the Twitch and between the Patreon, you can simply get entered. Anything else, gentlemen, before we end the show?
Tim, do you want to talk about, we are on the road to episode 500.
Yes, we are. And you mentioned at the top of the show as well. We got 4 more episodes, and we're trying to ramp up a lot going on with episode 500. We're trying to line up some guests to stop in, or at least give us a voicemail or a video that we can play during the show, just kind of giving some feedback. And also we'll have some prizes that we'll give away. They're going to be mystery boxes that we're going to give away with some mystery items in the box. Several items. There's going to be at varying levels. So you can expect some cool things in those boxes. They're going to be pretty big boxes. And who knows, any one of those things could have anything like, let's see, do I have anything nearby? Oh, nope, it's all the way over there. Sorry. Well, we got cracked devices that we're going to give away. We have a couple controllers. We have a Mario backpack that maybe you can give to your kids. We've got some Nintendo Dad swag that we put together and that we'll be putting in those boxes. And then there will be a few other Nintendo things that will stick in there once I purchase them. So, but who knows who will get what, because each box will be different. And again, at least 1 or 2 people will get like the grand prize, if you will, in those boxes. So in order to get those, all you got to do is just be, again, a subscriber to us. And especially if you've been a longtime subscriber, you get extra entries. So lots of fun stuff that we're doing there. Did I forget anything?
Are we asking for people to send in things?
Yes. So our voicemails that we always talk about, you can send in a voicemail talking about your experience with the Nintendo Dads over the last 10 years or the 500 episodes. Again, our voicemail is 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. Or if you prefer, you can record something on your computer and email it to us at nintendodads@gmail.com, and we can play it that way. We love those kind of things. Even if it's a video, we can play it. Jesse has the magical touch to be able to do that. So we have all those various ways. We'd love to hear your experiences with the Nintendo Dads. And anything else, Justin?
No, I think you covered it really well, Tim. Thanks, buddy.
Jesse,
Yeah,
did
it
I
is-
miss it?
I can't think of anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, episode 500 is kind of a big deal. We're coming up to it. We've kind of been pretty quiet about it, if we're quite honest, right?
Yeah.
We've slowly been coming up to it. We're probably going to be revealing in episode 500 a little bit more of some things that we have in the pipeline to be sharing, which we're excited about. We want to make it a big deal, but we also don't want to make it a big deal, if that makes any sense. We want to celebrate with our community. We want to, this is part of your journey. We want to hear, maybe what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, some of your favorite moments. Like, this is a little bit of kind of a navel gazing, but also because like we're so honored that you have joined us for this journey, whether you've now just first time ever tuning in, or maybe you've been here for all 500 episodes. What have been some of those moments that like you've enjoyed? Maybe those things that we're not even aware of behind the scenes, the community, the Discord, all the things that happen. This is really an opportunity, I think, for us to celebrate kind of a really big deal, right? 10 years, 500 episodes. So man, we're excited if you join us in that. I think that'd be amazing. And so just whatever that looks like to you, whether it's like, hey, I drew an art picture that I want to share with you, or hey, I want to tell you that my favorite time was when Justin's not on the show. Any of those things, right? Like, those are all okay. We just want to hear from you, right? So whatever that expression looks like from you, it's a beat poetry, it's a video, it's a song, it's a drawing, it's whatever that is. Like, we want to use this platform to share also those things with the audience as well. So it'll be 500. It'll be a little bit of a different episode, but we're really excited for it. And so thank you for that as well.
And we definitely, the reason why we were quiet about it too is because we were trying to think of ways to top 400, the top what we did for episode 400. And it was unfortunately no way to do it the way we did it for 400, because it just all fell together between Extra Life, 400.
Yeah.
And being in New York all together and stuff. So
we have a new plan that we're going to reveal during episode 500, and we think it will be a very good plan. It'll be the best plan ever. Huge plans, huge. And I might get in trouble. I might get emails right now about complaints. But I think it'll be a pretty good opportunity to talk about maybe one of the reasons why we've also been quiet about trying to figure out what we wanted to do, and we think it's a pretty awesome opportunity. So we're excited about it.
Yes.
How about a roast? Yeah, 100% roast us. Man, this space, whatever you want to use this space for, right? Like, we're okay with that. So I see that. Thank you very much for that. Yeah.
A roast, or if the other thing that we've been toying around with too is the what do we do for the next 10 years? Not saying we'll be here for another 10 years, but just saying, what do we do going forward? Do we change things up? If you got any suggestions, we'd love to hear that too. Like, hey, we love what you're doing there, but do this or do that, or, love to hear that kind of stuff too. Because we've been toying around with that as well.
Yeah, it's interesting to just think how far the show has evolved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I think it's fantastic. So
very cool. All right. With that, we'll still be talking about the next 3 episodes after this about what we're going to be doing leading up to 500. But until then, first, a huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Dave Ernsberger and Jacqueline Amira. Thanks for coming in and bringing Rick aboard and spending time with us today. So we're looking forward to getting some of our other Patreon producers to come jump on the show if possible. And then also thanks to our 100+ Patreons. And if you want to be a Patreon, again, check the description of wherever you're listening to this or watching this at, and you'll see a link to go to patreon.com/NintendoDads, and you can check out all the different tiers you can join at. Next, a special thank you to our 22 Twitch subscribers and our over 1,455 Twitch followers, and a shout out to our 7,709 YouTube subscribers. Yes, we finally broke 7,700 YouTube subscribers. Thank you very much. By the end of the year, we're hoping to get 10,000, right? We're going to be at 10,000 subscribers, right?
Yep.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We would not be here if it wasn't for you. However you contribute to the show, whether you share it with somebody, you give us a 5-star review, leave a comment, you subscribe, and give us $1 or more. However you do it, we thank every single one of you for doing that, because it helps us to do what we love to do and share how we love our games and how we love to do this stuff and all the fun stuff we get to do with Nintendo as well. Or check out our website, nintendodads.org, for Spotify podcast feeds on our show, as well as other Nintendo Dads family of podcasts like Star Wars Dads and the Retro Logic family of podcasts. You can also see our latest YouTube videos and tweets, links to all our social media, Patreon, and Extra Life pages, and of course, Nintendo Dads merch. There's a link there, but also if you're watching us on YouTube, just look below the videos and you'll see all kinds of merch, including hopefully new stuff that we just launched today because someone asked for it. They said, hey, we love that Nintendo stuff that you guys do. You got a sticker for that? It's like, sure. And threw it up there, so just waiting for approval on that. We have a Nintendo Dad sticker now that's available, or other things.
I was thinking we were doing a Timmy sticker.
Maybe that's next. Who knows? All kinds of stuff. We just throw it up there, but sometimes the Nintendo ninjas have to get to us too, so maybe that doesn't go through. We'll see. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, manscaped.com. Get 20% off your Manscaped order with free shipping and with the code NINDADS, NINDADS. Again, that gets you 20% off your Manscaped order. You can email us at nintendodads@gmail.com or call us and leave a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. Big thanks to OC Remix for the music throughout the show. And again, like I said, we love it when you leave a 5-star review for us and a comment. So until next time, for me, for Jesse, for Justin, and Marty, who's trying to get to SNL and all that stuff, we'll check you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Federal regulations require me to warn you that this next test chamber is looking pretty good.